All right, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you about feminist criticism. And a subtitle that I have is Analyzing Power and Gender, because that's really what it comes down to when we're looking at a text through a feminist lens. So at first, you might be wondering, what is critical lens theory, or what is a feminist lens? So, literary theories are a means for us to understand various ways in which we can read texts. So, when we're reading a book, we're thinking about all of these different cultural concepts that we live by. If you're a man, you view a text through a male perspective. If you're a female, you view a text through a female perspective. So, a couple quotes from a really great source about critical lens theory. The proponents of each theory believe that their theory is the theory, but most of us interpret texts according to the rules of several different theories at one time. So, again, when we're reading a book, we usually don't just focus on one thing, we're thinking of all different types of things as we read. However, when we are studying critical lens theory, we are just going to put on one set of lenses. Another good quote: all literary theories are lenses through which we can see a text. So, again, it's a particular focus that we're using to read something. So, jumping in, what is feminist criticism? So, this comes from one of my textbooks in college just on critical lens theory. Feminist criticism is an umbrella term for a variety of approaches to culture and literature that are particular interest to women. So, focusing on women. Central to the diverse aims and methods of feminist criticism is its focus on patriarchy, the rule of society and culture by men. So, again, patriarchy, that's a word that you're going to hear a lot going forward, especially the feminist group. That is how men usually control a culture. Another great quote from this book: feminist criticism argues that literature should be free from such biases because of race, class, or gender, and provides a variety of theoretical frameworks and approaches to interpretation that values each member of society. So, again, we're getting some other ideas here, not just gender, but race, class, and gender. And this lens really just focuses on looking at each member of society and how are they valued throughout the text. So, how did it start? So this lens really has a base in history. So there are roots of prejudice against women all throughout Western culture. Going back to the ancient Greeks, they declared males superior and women inferior. Another quote to support this: women, they maintained, lure men away from seeking after truth, preventing them from attaining their full potential. So basically, women have always gotten a bad rep because they say that they are distracting men from their true goal of seeking knowledge. Another quote from Bressler: century after century, male voices continue to articulate and determine the social role and cultural and personal significance of women. So, again, if we think of literature, many of the classics that we read are male authors. So, that's what this quote is referring to, that male voices continue to say what is right and what is wrong for women. All right, so I have a nice little cartoon for you guys, and I'm going to pause here so that you can reflect about how this cartoon really emphasizes that feminist lens. And then, lastly, and this is probably the most important slide, questions to ask when using this lens. So, as you are going forward and reading Death of a Salesman, you will be asking these questions: is the author male or female? Is the text narrated by a male or female? So this one's a little different because we're reading a play. What types of roles do women have in the text? Are they stereotypical? Are the female characters the main characters, or are they minor? What are the attitudes towards women held by the male characters? This is a big one, and we're going to see this a lot in Death of a Salesman. What is the author's attitude towards women in society? Again, you might need to do some outside research, or you can just figure that out through reading the text. Is feminine imagery used? If so, what is its significance? This one means, how do they describe women? Are they described in very stereotypical ways? Is their beauty highlighted? That's examples of feminine imagery. And then lastly, do the female characters speak differently than the males? And then compare the frequency of speech. So this is a big one for a play. How many times do the women characters even get lines throughout the play, or is it mostly just the male characters? So that's the feminist lens in a nutshell. We will be talking more about this throughout this Death of a Salesman unit.